I'm curious, has anyone heard of this film before? Because honestly I don't recall seeing anything about it until I came across it on Disney Plus last Friday. Anyway, welcome ladies, gentlemen and those of unspecified gender. Today we're reviewing the 1997 Eddie Murphy film, Metro. As I mentioned before, I wouldn't be surprised if you hadn't seen or heard of this film before, because, well, it flopped at the box office and hasn't really gained any sort of following since then. And now having seen it for the first time, it's not hard to see why. The plot is that a hostage negotiator, played by Murphy, teams up with a sharpshooter, played by Michael Rappaport, to take on a crazed jewel thief, played by Michael Wincott. Seems simple enough, a veteran teaming up with a young promising rookie to teach him the ropes about hostage negotiation and maybe learn a few life lessons, before ending up in a showdown with a notorious criminal. Instead, however, the film ends up being rather aimless. We actually spend a lot of time on Murphy trying to rekindle his relationship with his British ex-girlfriend Carmen Ejogo. And while I'm definitely not against romance-heavy action or thriller films, it's not usually the strong point, and unless the romance itself is particularly interesting or, compelling, it can detract from other elements of the film, like it does here. There are other structural issues with the story as well, it's just the romance seems to be the biggest fault in it. For instance, a lot of the other characters never really stand out, and in the case of a lot of Murphy's cop buddies, they sort of after they've served their purpose, they sort of disappear from the rest of the film. Meanwhile, Rappaport's character, we never really get much insight beyond the usual service record / background exposition dump scene. He doesn't even get much, even his interactions with Murphy are pretty limited in a few scenes, and I don't even recall why he even wanted to get into this occupation in the first place. As for our lead, Inspector Scott Roper, well, there is definitely potential, particularly in the link between being a hostage negotiator and his gambling addiction, and although they do cover it in detail, again, mainly for his conversations with his girlfriend, they never really take it in any sort of interesting or meaningful enough direction. As a result, any issues he has gets resolved a lot earlier than they should, thus limiting any potential character arc or development. What about the action suspense though, you may be asking? Well, on the suspense side, again, due to the slightly aimless nature of the film, it can vary. Occasionally it might be a bit gripping, other times not. And there are some points where I felt I was just watching some horror film, waiting for the inevitable jump scare. The action isn't anything incompetent or rubbish, just nothing special, with the most memorable sequence being a tram chase about the middle of the film, though even that could have been a bit more creative, I felt. While the climax itself, which doesn't really tie into the hostage negotiation thing, is pretty underwhelming. I imagine that's probably because director Thomas Carter is a bit more comfortable in the sort of social drama wheelhouse, like his work on Coach Carter and Save the Last Dance. The performances are fine, by the way. Murphy definitely plays the role a bit more serious than he usually do, which from what I read is why he took on the project in the first place. Though, as a result, he isn't as fun as, say, Beverly Hills Cop or 48 Hours. I can definitely see the potential in Ejogo, given this is pretty early in their career. Meanwhile, Rappaport does well enough given the limited material, and Michael Wincott shows why he's a career villain. Overall, I've seen worse, more boring films, and in fact I can imagine people having an okay time with this film, though if you want something a bit more memorable, more action-packed and more focused, then I'd recommend something else. So I'm going to give 1997's Metro 2 out of 5 stars. And that does it for today. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in seeing more, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Take care.